Attention responsible gun owners. Starting April 2026, a simple traffic stop could spiral into a costly nightmare. Last week, a 72-year-old named Harold from Indianapolis, Indiana faced that shock. He told the officer he was carrying legally, like the law requires. Minutes later, his pistol sat on a hood, and his hands were shaking. By the end, he feared a $5,940 mess he didn't deserve. Stop for 5 seconds. If you're not subscribed, you're gambling with your financial future. The next update I share could save you serious money and stress, but you won't see it in time unless you're subscribed. Click subscribe now and let's protect your rights together. Here's the scary truth most people learn too late. Carrying legally can still change how strangers treat you in seconds. Some officers act calm, but others act like your permit is suspicion. That can mean extra questions, extra delays, and extra pressure on you. And when you're nervous, it's easy to say something you'll regret. You might think, if I'm legal, I'm safe from problems. But legal doesn't always stop a bad stop from getting worse. A glove box search can start with a friendly request and end badly. A home visit can turn tense when someone mentions firearms out loud. And a sidewalk conversation can become a detention without clear reasons. The hardest part is the uncertainty when adrenaline hits your chest. You don't know what the officer believes about armed citizens. You don't know what the supervisor taught them in training. You don't know if your state's rules are clear or still contested. So you're left guessing while someone else controls the moment. Here's what frustrates me, and it should frustrate you too. You can follow every law and still get treated like a threat. You can do the right thing and still get punished with delays. You can be polite and still watch your property handled carelessly. That isn't safety, and it isn't fairness for law-abiding people. This makes me angry because your rights aren't supposed to be conditional. They aren't supposed to disappear because you exercised another right. You shouldn't have to pick between self-defense and basic privacy. You shouldn't have to trade calm cooperation for silent surrender. And you definitely shouldn't be treated as guilty without real evidence. So today, I'm giving you clarity, not complicated legal jargon. I'm going to show you the common traps that create expensive outcomes. I'll also show you how normal people avoided disaster with simple steps. You'll hear real-world style stories that feel familiar, not dramatic. And you'll leave knowing exactly what to do next time. Let me tell you about Patricia. She is 71 years old and lives in Seattle, Washington. She volunteers at a food pantry and drives a small silver hatchback. One rainy evening, she got pulled over for a dim license light. She had a lawful permit and a holstered handgun on her hip. A few minutes into the stop, the officer asked if she had weapons. Patricia answered honestly, and her voice cracked from sudden fear. The officer stepped back, put a hand near his belt, and stared. He asked her to exit, then demanded her firearm for safety. Patricia worried she'd be arrested for cooperating the wrong way. Then it escalated in a way she never expected. The officer called for backup, and 2 cars arrived within 6 minutes. They asked where she bought it, where she was going, and why. One officer said, "We can check the serial number, that's routine." Patricia heard that and thought, routine for who and for what? The stop stretched on, and she missed her medication pickup window. Patricia kept her voice calm and chose her words like stepping on ice. She asked, "Am I being detained for a crime or just a traffic issue?" She also said, "I don't consent to any searches of my vehicle." The officers didn't like that, but they finally focused on the light. She drove away after 40 minutes, shaken but without a search. Later, a local attorney reviewed the stop for $285 and gave guidance. Patricia's lesson was simple, and it can help you too. Polite doesn't mean passive, and calm doesn't mean confused. You can respect an officer while still protecting your boundaries. You can answer required questions without volunteering extra details. And you can prepare phrases now so fear doesn't choose for you. What happened to Patricia is common because the moment feels ambiguous. When you carry, your body language changes because you feel watched. Officers notice that, and some interpret nerves as guilt. But nerves aren't evidence, and legal carry isn't a crime. Your goal is to reduce confusion while avoiding needless concessions. Let me tell you about Thomas. He is 74 years old and lives in Denver, Colorado. He's a retired mechanic who still fixes neighbors' cars on weekends. One afternoon, police came to his door after a welfare check request. His sister hadn't answered her phone, and someone panicked and called. At first, it seemed normal, and Thomas felt relieved they were checking. He invited them to the entryway and offered to call his sister. Then one officer noticed a locked case on a shelf behind him. Thomas said it held a firearm, stored properly, and legally owned. The officer's tone shifted, and Thomas felt heat rise in his face. The situation escalated fast, and it wasn't because Thomas did anything. The officer said they needed to make sure sure nobody else is inside. Thomas asked why, because the call was about his sister's safety. The officer stepped forward, and Thomas instinctively stepped back. Now it looked like resistance, even though it was pure confusion. Thomas feared they'd sweep his home and find something to twist. Thomas stayed calm and did something many people forget to do. He asked, "Are you requesting entry or ordering entry, and why?" He also said, "I'm happy to cooperate, but I don't consent to searches." The officers called a supervisor, and the energy cooled after 10 minutes. They left without going deeper, and his sister called back 5 minutes later. Thomas later spent $410 replacing a damaged door latch from the commotion. Thomas was angry, and you would be angry too. A welfare check shouldn't become an excuse to explore your home. A locked case shouldn't turn you into a threat in your own doorway. Helping someone shouldn't create a new problem for your family. That day taught Thomas to treat friendly visits as serious legal moments. Quick pause. What state are you watching from right now? Drop your state name in the comments, because laws differ by state. Your comment also helps this reach people who need it fast. Comment your state below, and I'll know what rules matter to you. Now let's talk about the pressure tactics that make good people fold. Some officers ask rapid questions to see if you contradict yourself. Some use casual language to make requests sound like lawful commands. Some say, "If you've got nothing to hide, you'll let us look." But your rights exist exactly for moments when you feel cornered. Here's what frustrates me even more. If you hesitate, they may say you're acting suspicious. If you talk too much, you might accidentally give them a new reason. If you argue, they may escalate, and that raises risk for everyone. So you need a middle path that protects you without provoking chaos. Let me tell you about Barbara. She is 69 years old and lives in Atlanta, Georgia. She takes care of her husband and manages every bill in the house. One morning, she withdrew cash to pay a contractor for a roof repair. She had $3,720 in an envelope and her legal handgun in her purse. 2 blocks later, she got stopped for a rolling stop sign. The officer asked where she was headed, and Barbara answered politely. Then he saw the contractor card on her seat and asked about money. Barbara mentioned the cash, and the officer's curiosity visibly grew. When asked about weapons, she disclosed, and her stomach dropped hard. Then the stop turned into something else entirely. The officer said, "For everyone's safety, I need to secure your firearm." He also asked if she'd mind stepping out while he checks the car. Barbara felt trapped because she didn't want trouble or delays. She also worried about the cash and didn't want it out of sight. The officer hinted he could bring a dog, which terrified her. Barbara took a breath and used a sentence she practiced at home. She said, "Officer, I'm complying, but I don't consent to searches." She asked, "Am I free to go after the citation is finished?" The officer seemed annoyed, but he wrote the ticket and ended it. Barbara left with her property, and she paid the ticket, not a fortune. She later bought a $34 dashboard card listing her key phrases. Barbara's story has a hopeful side you should remember. Practice beats panic when your heart is racing in real time. The right words can shorten encounters without turning them into arguments. And keeping your focus on detention versus citation changes everything. Barbara protected her cash, her dignity, and her peace in one moment. Real quick. If you're getting value from this, hit the like button. The algorithm pushes videos with strong like ratios to more people. That means more responsible owners learn these rules before trouble hits. It takes 2 seconds, so like the video right now. Now, I want you to feel hope, not helplessness. Most encounters end fine when you're prepared and respectful. Most officers just want everyone safe and the stop finished. But you plan for the outlier because the outlier causes damage. One bad encounter can cost you months of stress and legal bills. Your best tool isn't bravado, and it isn't silence either. Your best tool is a simple plan that keeps you steady. You control your tone, your hands, and your words. You also control whether you consent to searches you don't understand, and you control how quickly you document what happened afterward. Let me tell you about William. He is 76 years old and lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. He walks every morning for his heart, caring legally for protection. One day, a neighbor called police about a man with a gun. William was wearing a jacket, and the holster printed for a moment. When officers arrived, they approached fast and told him to stop. William froze, confused, and felt embarrassment burn across his cheeks. He explained he was lawful, but they demanded identification immediately. They asked where he lived, why he carried, and whether he had priors. William felt treated like a suspect in his own neighborhood. Then it escalated into a long detention that felt like punishment. They held him by a park bench and questioned him for 30 minutes. One officer said they needed to verify the gun isn't stolen. William asked if he was accused of any crime and got no answer. A crowd formed, and William felt humiliated and powerless. He worried his church friends would see it and assume the worst. William did something smart after he got home, even while shaking. He wrote down the time, the patrol car number, and what was said. He requested the incident record and filed a complaint with the department. He also consulted an attorney for $350 to understand his options. 2 months later, the department sent a letter acknowledging policy review. William said the apology didn't erase shame, but it restored some control. William's story is a warning and a promise for you. A legal act can still trigger a misunderstanding in a fearful community. But you can respond with calm documentation instead of angry confrontation. You can push back through the system without risking the street encounter, and you can help your town learn the difference between fear and facts. Think of someone who needs this information right now. Your parent, sibling, friend, neighbor, or the person who just got licensed. Someone could lose money or dignity without knowing these simple rules. Share this video with them immediately and text the link right now. Don't wait until later, because later is when problems usually happen. Now let's pull the big lesson out of all 4 stories. The conflict is rarely about legality, because you may be fully legal. The conflict is about assumptions, fear, and vague safety claims. When those take over, normal rules can get stretched in harmful ways. So your job is to reduce assumptions and force clarity with calm questions. You also need to understand the difference between a request and an order. An officer can ask for many things that you can legally decline, but in the stress of the moment, a request can feel mandatory. That's why simple phrases matter more than complicated legal lectures. You're not trying to win, you're trying to safely end the encounter. And yes, officer safety matters, and you should care about it. Keep your hands visible, move slowly, and narrate what you're doing. Don't reach toward a waistband, a purse, or a glove box without permission. Your calm behavior lowers the temperature for everyone on scene. Safety and rights can exist together when both sides stay disciplined. But here's the line that should never be crossed. Safety cannot become a blank check for fishing expeditions. A lawful gun can't automatically mean you're dangerous or criminal. A permit shouldn't become a reason to treat you like a problem. And a legal owner shouldn't be forced to surrender privacy to stay calm. So let's move into the part that empowers you. This is where you stop feeling like a passenger in your own life. You're going to learn a plan you can use in a stop today. You'll also learn what to do afterward, when emotions settle down, and you'll be able to teach your family the same simple playbook. Here's exactly what you need to do. I'm giving you 5 steps, and each one is simple. You don't need to do everything today, but start with step 1. Write these down, or pause and replay, because details matter. If you practice now, you won't panic when pressure hits later. Ready to take control of your next encounter? Let's begin. Step 1. Learn your state's disclosure rule and memorize the exact requirement for carry. Search your state police website or your state statutes page from a trusted source. If you're unsure, call a local firearms attorney and ask for a quick consult. Practice one sentence you'll say so you don't ramble under stress. Use, "Officer, I'm legally carrying, and my hands will stay visible." Do this week because confusion creates the biggest problems fast. Step 2. Build a calm stop routine and rehearse it in your parked car. Put your wallet, registration, and insurance where you can reach slowly. If you carry in a purse, move it to a stable spot before driving. When stopped, roll the window down, turn on the light, and breathe. Say, "How would you like me to proceed?" before reaching anywhere. That routine reduces fear, and fear is what makes encounters unpredictable. Step 3. Use 2 key boundary phrases and keep them short and respectful. First, "I don't consent to searches," and then stop talking. Second, "Am I being detained or am I free to go?" And wait. Don't argue about the Constitution on the roadside because it backfires. If you feel bullied, repeat the phrase once, then return to calm silence. Your goal is clarity, not conflict, and clarity protects you later. Step 4. Document everything as soon as you're safe and your hands stop shaking. Write the time, location, officer names, badge numbers, and car numbers. If legal in your state, save dashcam video and keep backups. Request records through the department and keep copies of every response. If property was handled, photograph it and note any damage immediately. Do this within 24 hours because memory fades faster than you think. Step 5. If your rights were violated, choose a smart next move instead of rage. Start with a written complaint that sticks to facts, not insults or guesses. Then consult a qualified attorney and ask about civil claims or suppression issues. If you faced costs, Track exact numbers like $260 towing or $980 repairs. Also consider contacting your local elected officials about training and policy updates. Act within weeks, not months, because deadlines can quietly close doors. Let's review what we covered today, because this information can save you. Legal carry can still trigger delays, searches, or humiliating detentions in seconds. You heard how Patricia, Thomas, Barbara, and William faced pressure without violence. You learned that calm phrases and clear boundaries can change outcomes quickly. You also learned a 5-step plan you can start using this week. Millions carry responsibly, and you deserve to be treated like one of them. Here's the final punch I want you to remember when fear hits. The roadside is not the courtroom, and it's not the debate stage. Your power is composure, and your shield is clear, simple language. If you practice now, your body will follow the script later. And if something goes wrong, your notes and records become your voice. That's how ordinary people stop feeling powerless, even after a bad encounter. If this helped, here's what to do next. Subscribe so you catch the next update before policies and practices shift again. Share this with someone who carries or is thinking about carrying soon. Comment your state below, because state rules change the right approach. I read comments and respond when I can, especially to urgent situations. Your engagement helps this reach people who need it before trouble finds them. Important disclaimer: this video is educational only, not legal, financial, tax, or medical advice. Every situation differs, and laws vary widely by state and local policy. Consult licensed professionals like attorneys, CPAs, financial advisors, or doctors before acting. What works for one person may not work for another in your area. Use this information responsibly and always prioritize safety for you and everyone involved.